The far-right Alternative for Germany, or AfD, continues its party convention today after confirming Alice Weidel as its first ever candidate for chancellor in next month's elections. The start of the weekend gathering in the eastern town of Riesa was delayed by thousands of protesters. Polls ahead of elections on February 23rd put the AfD in second place at around 20% of the vote. Other parties are refusing to work with them, hoping that a so-called firewall will keep the AfD out of power. Let's speak to our political correspondent, Matthew Moore, who is in Riesa at that AfD convention. Matthew, what does the fact that they've now named a chancellor candidate mean?
This is a very significant milestone for the far-right party in Germany. By naming a candidate for a chancellor, they're basically saying they believe in themselves. It's a sign of self-confidence. And they've named someone, Alice Weidel, who is quite an interesting character, Claire. This is a person who worked for Goldman Sachs. In an interview with Elon Musk recently, she described herself as a libertarian conservative, which didn't go down well with everyone in the party. She also lives with a Sri Lankan woman. Her partner is a Sri Lankan woman, or rather a woman with Sri Lankan roots. And they have two children together, so not exactly the picture that you would maybe expect from a far-right party. And despite the fact that they've nominated Alice Weidel as their leader, there's a kind of acknowledgement here in the room that they're not going to be anywhere near power because of a firewall. That's because that the older and the other parties in Germany have described, basically say that the AfD, the far right, are too extreme and too anti-democratic. They won't work with them. However, they see signs of that, basically that firewall chipping away. In Austria, recent political events there, that's happened. The far right are now in power there. And so that gives them hope. And they're hoping, and their main hope here, and the AfD, is not necessarily of the elections next month, but of the elections in 5 years' time, in 2029.
So, Matthew, we have heard that the AfD is now polling at second place nationally. If the election results from February do end up reflecting these current polls, what would that actually mean for Germany?
It presents a bit of a problem, actually, for Germany, because it would be the strongest result they've ever had. But what's interesting is the platform. It would be 1 in 5 voters basically saying that they back a party which has a very radical programme, and that's what they're debating behind me in the last day or two. And that is things like pulling Germany out of the European Union. That's a very anti-immigration platform. The removal of all foreigners here who do not have a right to be here, especially those with an emphasis on those who arrived here illegally. It's very pro-Russia. They want to restart the Nord Stream 2 pipeline so they can start buying Russian gas again. They're also there's a lot of climate denialism in this platform. They want to scrap renewable energy projects like solar and wind. So it's a very different programme to the rest of the programmes that we see here in Germany. And it just speaks to the kind of the radical alternative that they're saying they're offering, and that is very much alive here in this party manifesto. So they might not be in power, but it certainly would have a big shift in the debate in Germany.
And tell us a little bit about what's going on behind you there. What can we expect coming out of this second day of the AfD convention? Yeah,
well, there's a big debate behind me about the extremist wing of the party, the youth alternative, the Junge Alternative. The party, that youth wing has been declared as an extremist, as a confirmed extremist right-wing movement by the security services here in Germany. And that's because they see things like ethnic nationalism very much running through the ideology of that group. And lots of their members there are full members of the AfD. And worth mentioning as well that the AfD is a suspected right-wing extremist movement by the security services. And basically today there's a big debate about whether they should start a new youth wing. And that's seen as an attempt essentially to get ahead, professionalise the party to get ahead of a potential ban that might be coming. But it's highly controversial. And it just goes to show and really reveal this extremist tendency in the party and how they're trying to deal with it. So on the one hand, you've got them putting forward a candidate for chancellor and presenting this very united front, but on the other hand, you see that they're trying to wrestle with all these extremist ideological figures and movements within the party to try to professionalise.
Thank you so much for your reporting there. That is our political correspondent, Matthew Moore, in Riesa.